Hello, in this math video, I will do a GED math video regarding area, circumference, radius, and diameter of a circle. Okay, so just like in the real exam, you are given all the formulas, and then you got to pick the correct one. But I'm gonna go ahead and take out your notebook, and I'm gonna go over some for excuse me, I'm gonna go over some formulas, and then we're gonna use those formulas to do the three problems. So the first formula I want to talk about is the area of a circle. So area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. Okay. So area, remember, is like pretend you have a circle, and then if you shaded this circle, right, that would be your entire area. So yeah, that is an area. Then there's circumference, or you could think of it as a per meter. So circumference or per meter is this C equals 2 times pi times r. Or if they give you a diameter, it could be C equals pi times d. Okay, so imagine you have a circle, and if you put a string around the circle, that would be the circumference or the per meter. Okay, so those are the two formulas we're going to go over, or we're going to use for the problems. Okay, so I'm going to pause and I'm going to do question one. Okay, so question one, let me scoop up. So question one says a wire is bent down 5 times in a semicircle form. Find the length of the wires. Use pi as 22 over 7. The diameter of a circle is 35 meters. So, right. So they're asking you find find the length of the wire. So basically when they're asking for the circumference. And the good news is they tell us that, what do they tell us? The diameter is 35 centimeters. Okay. So what is the formula for circumference of a circle? It is pi times d, and the diameter is 35. So that is going to be 35 pi. But they specifically said don't use pi. They said replace pi with 22 over 7. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace this pi with 22 over 7 times. So I could use parentheses or the X mark, or so to represent multiplication, I could use parentheses, I could do the X, or I could do a little dot. Those all means multiplication, right? I'm just going to do parentheses, and then it's 35 or 35 over 1. Okay. Um, so when you do this, how do you simplify fractions? You multiply across. So what's 22 times 35? It is 770. And then what's 7 times 1? 7. And then what's 7 over 7? It is 110 centimeters. Circumference of one semicircle is 55 meters. So yeah. So this is 1/2. So yeah, this is only there's 5 circles, right? So now we got to find the length of the y by taking 5 and multiply by so this is a full circle. We want a semicircle. So what's 110 divided by 2? 55 centimeters. Then what we got to do is because there's how many? There's one, two, three, four. There's five semicircles, right? So we got to find that. So we got to find the circumference of those five semicircles. So it's going to be L equals 5 times the circumference of a semicircle, which is 55, and that's going to be 275. Okay, so that is letter C. I mean, not letter C. 275 is, yeah, letter C. Okay, so this one's a little bit strange. I had to find the circumference of a semicircle because these are not full circles, as you can see. But what I did was I took the circumference of a full circle, which is pi times c, and then I simplified it, and then I replaced pi with 22 over 7. But this is a full circle, so I have to take half of it because these are all semicircles. And then there's a total of five semicircles, so I had to multiply that by five, and that's how I got 275. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause, but I'm going to move on. Okay, question two says, what is what is the area in square centimeters of a circle with a circumference of 14 pi centimeters? Use pi equals 22 over 7. So what is the area in square centimeters of a circle with a circumference of 14 pi? Okay, so we need two formulas. They gave us a circumference of a circle. So what is the circumference of a circle? It is 2 times pi times r. And then we got to find the area of a circle. So area of a circle is pi r squared. So uh what do we have to do? We got to use this. What is it? What is the area? So I think we need to use this formula first to find the radius because we need to find the area, right? Because the area is pi over square. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and use this formula. And what did they tell us? So they tell us two things. Their circumference is 14 pi, so I'm going to replace the c with 14 pi. And then it's 2 times pi times r. So you could put a dot or you could put it all squished. And what I mean squished is like you could say 2 pi r. That's the same thing as multiplication. So I want to solve for r or isolate r, so I have to get rid of this 2 pi by dividing both sides by 2 pi. Okay. So this cancels, and then you're left with r equals, what is 14 pi over 2 pi? Well, the pi's disappeared, and then 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then to find the area of a circle, it is pi times r squared. And then they specifically said replace pi with 22 over 7. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to replace 7 squared with 49. And when you put it all together, you should get on the top 22 times 49 is 1007, 1078. And then on the bottom, 7 times 1 is 7. And that is going to be 154. Okay. So in this problem, we had to use two formulas. We had to find the circumference. We use the circumference formula, plug in the circumference, solve for r, because now we're going to use that r to figure out the area, which is what we want, and then replace pi with 22 over 7. And that's how I got 154. Okay. Let's move on to the last one. So question three says, what is the perimeter of a circular garden that has an area of 304 square meters? And then it says use pi as 3.14. So they say perimeter. What does that mean? It literally means circumference, right? Oh, so yeah, imagine you have a circle. Whoops. And then if you took a string around that circle, that would be the circumference. So circumference of a circle is 2 times pi times r. And then what else? Can we use this formula alone to find the perimeter? So can we use this formula to find the circumference? No, because we need the radius. So we'll probably have to use an extra formula. What other formula can we use? They specifically said that it has an area of 304 square meters, so that we'll use the area circle, which is pi r square. Okay, so I'm going to replace my A with, I'm going to use this formula and I'm going to replace with 314 equals to pi r square. And then what else? We're going to use solve for r by, oh, and then they said use pi as 3.14, so very tricky. So you're going to replace this pi with 3.14. Okay, now we can go ahead and solve for r. So the next thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 3.14. So you get r square equals, what is 314 divided by 3? This is 314, not 3.14, but what is 314 divided by 3.14? It is 100. Take the square root of both sides, and you get 10. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So now we can find the perimeter, or technically the circumference. So it's 2 times pi times r, which is 10. And they also said to replace pi with 3.14, so it's 2 times 3.14 times 10, and I get 62.8. Okay, so that's letter A. Okay, so that's the last one. And yeah, that's here. Maybe you want me to check the work. Okay, you check. Sorry, my ta writing tablet. Ugh. Okay, perfect. We got 100%. So I'm going to stop here. And yeah, we'll do another video soon. Thank you.